We are back again already with another episode. It is episode 31 of the All About Counter-Strike podcast. James Banks here, Dev Walk on the other side, as always. And you might be thinking, why the hell are these guys doing another episode so soon? Well, just to explain, the last episode just a few days ago was focusing on what we saw in Bucharest groups and also Chengdu, because Chengdu starts in literally 8 hours from now. And
Yeah.
I'll do my time and date thing because it is the 2nd of November, 2025. It is 7:57 in the evening for me over in Ukraine. And for Devwalk over in Sweden, it is 6:58 right now because the time just changed as I was saying that. So whatever, it's just close enough. I'm just going to give you a horror story to start off with Devwalk. Remember, I'm going to China next week. So
Yeah.
when we filmed the Chengdu with the Hong Kong episode, you're on the
Yeah.
crazy wake up
But
time.
if I'm honest, we've already done this joke. We've already done this part because we had a technical issue and I can't get it out of my mind. You can't get it out of your mind. So we're essentially redoing it was like 40 minutes ago we started this episode. And all the files got lost into the ether of the internet. So
Are you
yeah,
trying to
we're
tilt me by bringing this up again? I was trying to keep a
yes,
straight face and
yes,
stay
yes.
happy
I
throughout all of
couldn't.
this.
I couldn't, man. I couldn't
So,
fake it, man.
yeah,
No, but yes. Last time I reacted in a way when you said that, I didn't
shock
know.
horror. Yeah,
Yeah, it was shock. It was horror.
it's
I
all
was
gone
like,
now.
"What the hell? You didn't even tell me about this." But now I'm a little bit more prepared this time.
But I did tell you. Now you know
Yeah,
everything.
now
Everything's
I know.
happening. It all makes sense now. So that's where we are. We're going to be starting off by just making this episode about what we saw for the playoffs of Bucharest, going through all of that, going for the teams that made it there. So, starting point for Bucharest, right? Let's just look at the 8 teams that made it to the playoffs: Aurora, Legacy, Saw, GameLegion, Pain, Liquid, Bait, Heroic. The only name that's kind of like a wild name to have in there was Saw. For me, that's the
Yeah.
most unexpected one, you know?
Yeah, and I think it's a little bit because they've been flying under the radar. They've kind of, we had Mischief here on the show, and he gave Soas a great example of how to do VRS right. They're attending
Yep.
just the right amount of tournaments to kind of fill those buckets he talked about for the VRS points. And I think it's also why we've seen so little of them. They've kind of filled up their buckets. They took a pause. They've been, grinding away at home, and they've been doing
Yep.
it probably the most efficient, but it also means that we as people who watch a lot of Counter Strike, we don't get to see them as much, and we probably underestimate them. And there's
Yeah.
also the point that other people, they don't have as much prep. I mean, we obviously saw them at Philadelphia, which was obviously kind of the RMR for the
That
major
was their
in
hope
like
for
a
the major.
last. Yeah, and it was everyone against Saw, and they didn't really make it in the end, but they've been playing it smart. And obviously here they've had a great performance in this
Yep.
tournament, something that you're outlining that we probably don't expect them to be in a playoff position,
Definitely not.
um, especially with the Fnatics and NIPs and Astralis kind of, and even Gentlemates to some degree dropping out of playoff contention. So yeah, good on them.
And also, the where we got to start with on our 5th to 8th place teams, good on Heroic because Alcaraz comes back in, right? He ends up, it was CAC he missed, right? I'm trying to think, what was it that he missed? There's one event he missed. Yeah, they had Hades standing in, right? So Alcaraz comes in, he's back with the team again. He's playing through this event, thrown into it. Very, like, no time between CAC and Bucharest. They go straight from there to their 4th place at CAC. They beat NIP, Betboom, and Aurora to go 3-0 in group stage. That was just hella impressive, yeah? Now,
Yeah.
I know Xfloud will be the standout player because he was the second highest rated player of the whole tournament. But I need to talk about Nilo because I've spoke about Xfloud before. Nilo had his best event in the heroic jersey and showed us more of what I would say is what he was hyped up to be. Over and over again, people kept saying, oh, yeah, like Nilo's going to be the next best thing for Sweden. He's going to be so good. He's like up and coming player. He's going to have good showing when he gets onto like a proper team. Well, he just had a really good showing, and I'm hoping this is a sign of things to come. Because if you can unlock him to play this good regularly, consistently, that's a formidable heroic.
Yeah, I think it's a great heroic even to some degree. If you pull in, xCloud continuously having these performances where you're just like looking like one of the better players of a tournament. Nilo, as you mentioned, he probably, I mean, I think we're starting to see him kind of, obviously, he was bought from for Heroic. He was instantly on the bench because of some
Yep.
kind of personal issues that we don't really know anything about. And it's almost like he didn't have any off season. He didn't have any, kind of lenience into growing into that lineup on the get
Yep.
go. So he's kind of had to do it on the fly when they're playing official games. And as you say, we're starting to see it. I still think there's more to come from for Nilo until he gets into that shape where, obviously, someone like Device put him on the top 20 list of prospects, and then there was a couple of other people as well who had high praise for him as a player.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think we're starting to see it, but we also have to be, impressed with the heroic in the sense of, I mean, we've touched on this multiple times, like Saul
Hmm.
leaving, when Toby's coming in. I didn't really know what to expect, but I actually have to, again, just say good job because
Yeah.
I thought that they would be almost skydiving in the rankings once all the things are getting replaced that's all kind of implemented where you continuously as a CS team you know you pick some strats that aren't working anymore, you replace them, and you update things. And I thought that that would be their downfall, but it's started to look reversed. They're climbing their way up, they're getting back into shape. I still think also, if we look at like this last game in the playoff, I
GamerLegion.
look
Yeah.
at it, yeah. Youngster for me has always been the kind of, okay, if he has a great game, they're gonna actually be able to compete against anyone. If he has a bad game, they're
Yep.
gonna struggle a little bit because we're starting to see a lot more consistency from Nilo and xCloud.
So if he, yeah, like so if he was the one also there where you've got Nilo, xCloud doing their job, playing very well, getting the input you need out of Alcaraz as well, just being on the AWP. If Youngster can have a good game, it's very good. But if he's struggling, that's the drop off point.
Yeah, I think, I mean, it's not on him necessarily as a solo individual, like it's your bad they lost or anything like that. I think it's just
Yeah,
he
he can be
has
the
that
difference
X
maker.
factor and be the difference
Hmm.
maker to kind of push them over the line. It's more in that scenario, and if he can find consistency, they can be a really scary team.
And I still think this is considering all the change they've gone through, like losing Tanir, obviously
Yeah,
changing into having Alcaraz not there, and that like this is a good performance they can be proud of, and they're still making steps in the right direction.
100%.
I still think they can be a dangerous team to many they end up facing. Um, from heroic, we can go to bait because for me with this, bait's run here was pretty good. Astralis, 3D Max beaten, they lost the pain, and they beat Legacy, but then they get Aurora. Now, Aurora's always a tough team, but my biggest question to you, because I don't have an answer for this. MPL right now was on the sky high when he was IGL fragging. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was so good. Is there an adjustment period needed? The fact that like, should I expect him as a viewer to be doing even better now he's not IGLing, and then seeing him have not a lesser good tournament, but just not his usual level? Is that a factor because of all this change?
Yeah, I think there's two factors. Number one, I know that he went out in an interview and even said that Alex views the game differently compared to him. So I think
Yep.
there's a comfortability thing with how he sees CS philosophy, and he obviously put himself in very front forward roles, did a lot of plays within his calling style,
Hmm.
and he knows what's right. He has that automatically back in the brain, so he can kind of do his moves and do what makes sense for the team. I think there's an adjustment period for him in terms of kind of relearning Alex CS philosophy and implementing himself into that role and finding the right ways to take space and do his moves so it makes sense for them. So
Yeah.
I'm expecting a little bit of a dip for him while he adjusts to the freedom of that. But it's also, and I just came, I was just thinking about this because it's also Alex's first time IGLing, I think.
Second, he did CAC.
Okay, yeah, but it's his first time in that
Oh, as
role.
being, yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, you're
So
correct.
there can also be a little bit of loss in translation in that terms, where he probably needs to help out a little bit as well
Hmm.
in this transition period. So it might be a little bit like that, where he's trying to fill in into a philosophy where he isn't really comfortable as well. So
Okay.
once that gets sorted out, I'm expecting a little bit better performance from him.
I feel like the game for them against Aurora, they
Yeah.
definitely had a chance to win it on Dust 2. The Aurora win 13-10.
Mm.
They beat him on Mirage, but then this overpass, you start CT side, that's a gift, and you lose 3-9. Like this overpass, they got blown out of the water. Now I remember Zontaro's popping off, having a great game, but I mean, I just don't feel like that series was so close to being a 2-0 debate. So close.
Yeah, and I mean, Overpass is one of those maps. Like if you're not having a good CT site, like you're screwed. You're not making that comeback. It's too easy for Aurora. They're too much in pressure when they get to the T side. They probably need to, continuously force to kind of catch up and get that early round to turn it. It just makes it
Mhm.
a little bit easier for Aurora because they have to take those gambles. But yeah, I mean, CT side is everything. It's like an old school kind of nuke scenario where, even thinking back to like 1.6 or early CSGO days where you would very often see like 14 ones, 13 2 CT sides
Oh,
when it
dude,
was MR15.
I'd be happy with like a 12. If you get 3 T rounds, you actually feel like you can win the game.
But it's like you win T Pistons, like, yes, we got everything we needed.
Yeah, well, I won't be too harsh on Bait because there's a lot of change. I will still say this is a very positive sign for them going into the major. They had more reps, more land games. Like I'm kind of sat in a position of saying this is a good step for them still. Like from Star Series to CAC to this, they're adjusting, they're changing things. And remember, the MPL told me back at Star Series, he said that like there'll be a world where I'm not IGL. So they were ready for this. They were planning for it. And it
Yeah.
seems to be at least figuring things out at the right time.
Yep.
Next team, Liquid. Now they are that I'm sorry, Liquid, but this was disappointing. So their whole run, they lost to Aurora in the group stage, but they beat Legacy, Bet, Boom, FlyQuest. Beating Legacy again is obviously very solid. They beat Legacy back at CAC as well. Then it's the Saw game in the quarterfinals. Now, I know we already spoke about you could maybe underestimate Saw. It's the way they lost. Now, we didn't see
Yeah.
this game because we were recording the other episode of the podcast during this. Liquid win Ancient 13-4. We go to Train, they lose 13-2. Okay. By the way, they started on the CT side. Inferno, they lose 13-1. They start on the T side. Dude, NAF, Elise, Shuhei, Nerds have all won tier 1 tournaments. This is a team who should be able to bounce back from that train and fight back. Now, we don't know what happened in the team because we don't know why it got so bad. But the only little detail I can give them here is that for Liquid, this doesn't mean as much. And maybe they thought because they won so easily on Ancient that, oh, okay, we've
But
got this now. It's only
that's when
Saw.
experience has to come in. Like, don't underestimate
I
these
know.
guys.
But my thing is the experience should come in when you get dumpstered on train, you should be able to fight back on the next map, not do worse. That's like alarm bells. Like, what the hell is going on here? Why are you losing 13-2 and 13-1? Make it make sense.
I mean, there's no explanation. I mean, you could even argue like, okay, if you're that unstable on these maps, why are they even in the veto process? You could argue, they should be able to wake up. I'll excuse like one map, but as you said, you
Mm-hmm.
can't have it two maps in a row. That's embarrassing. That's
Yeah.
like, I mean, what are you even going to talk about? Like, they didn't stand a chance. They didn't even deserve to go through. Like, as a player, as a coach, it's just
Mm-hmm.
like, what the fuck? Yeah, they were better.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Because they probably want to forget about this. I mean, we didn't even have a chance to see it. We thought we would, recording a fast episode last time. But it
In
happened
a
so
normal
quick,
series, we'd have
we
definitely
didn't
caught
even
the
have a
last map.
chance. Yes.
Yeah, if it was a
Yes.
normal series, no problem at all. But this, yeah. So I'll say this for Liquid, they're on the other side of this. Fifth to eighth isn't terrible, but it's not what I expect when you've got Pain, GamerLegion, Saw, Legacy in front of you. I would expect a Liquid to be at least in the grand final when there's no 3D Max there. At least fighting for that third place decider, something like that. This is still a worrying sign for me. And by the way, they're not at Chengdu. They're not at Hong Kong. But now they've only got practice time for the major. So that's everything right now.
Yeah, but I also feel like Liquid, we judge them in the sense of like an Australis to some degree,
Yeah,
where
but okay, I
they
do that a
they
lot.
they are a little bit above where their ranking actually is, because they had a good I can't remember the event, but when they played really good and kind of made it into the major because of this string of results that they got, and it just bumped them out so much in the rankings, and it's way more than they probably deserve to be in, and they're just
Hmm.
on that line of continuously getting invites to these kinds of events. I'm scared that if the improvements, because I'll be clear, I see gradual improvements from Liquid, but I'm not sure it's going to be
Yep.
fast enough compared to other teams to kind of keep their rankings and keep a hold on that space, which is super important, by the way, to keep those
Hmm.
invites flowing throughout the year so they can prove themselves against the best teams. I'm not 100% sure they're developing fast enough for that.
No, I'd agree. And I like right now, my biggest thing, let's see, they're in what? They're probably stage two of the major. No, this is Europe. So they're stage one. I keep forgetting that they're now Europe. So they're stage one of the major. No. Are they stage two? Did they make stage two? Okay, they're stage two of the major. Like, I don't see them making stage three.
No, not a chance.
Not with current form. And we don't even know half the teams that they're going to be going up against, but like they are so beatable right now and obviously under pressure. This, by the way, this is a playoff game. There's no arena, no crowd, no stage. Yeah. So they got work to do. They've got time. They've got like 3 weeks now to practice, grind. Hopefully no one goes home, and they just grind it out and go from there. But I'm a little bit nervous for Liquid. Um, our last fifth to eighth team, Pain. Now, Pain had a pretty solid run, man. I had almost given up on Pain. They were nearly not in the VP corner because that's a real low down position to be in. But like after Austin Major, top four at Austin Major, they just kept going down. It was like 9th to 12th at Cologne, 9th to 16th at Blast Bounty. The Fissure event wasn't bad, but obviously a lot of top teams not there. 9th to 12th at CAC, losing to Fnatic and FUT. So they beat Gentlemates, they beat GamerLegion, they beat Bait, and then they lose to Legacy in the quarters. Now,
Yeah.
the thing is here, I will still take this for now as an acceptable event for Pain. It's not good. Yeah. It's not perfect. Snow obviously getting moved around positions, but at least this is making me feel like they're ramping up towards the major. It's not
Yeah.
completely
I
like,
I I
and also it's a domestic matchup as well.
I think the biggest worry for them is they don't look like they have synergized yet as a team, whilst they are looking better as individuals, where they
Hmm.
just shoot harder in the rounds. It just doesn't look great as a unit. I think that's what they need to kind of grind out and find a way to work better together. But that's, I think, also the why they changed roles for Snow, so they can get more information, because he's a very vocal, even though he's very young, he's very vocal in the server, and
Yep.
that's probably what they needed in that kind of front line. Um, so yeah, I I'm expecting them. It's such a weird one with Pain. I don't know what to expect. I don't know what I'm gonna get, but they're definitely not what they were at last major. They're not gonna reach a top four. Nothing is pointing towards that.
No,
So
not
I'd
right, not in the
be,
current shape.
yeah, I'd be surprised, and they should probably consider it a extremely good result if they made it into a playoff.
But think of this as well, right? Because the Americas got expanded with teams doing further at the major. they're in stage 3 of the major, so they've got even more time. They've got till the 4th of December when they need to play their first game.
Yeah,
They got a
but that's
long time to be ready.
but still, you look at a stage 3 of a major and you put Pain in there with some of these
Oh,
teams
right
that they
now.
might be facing, like Vitality, Spirit, Mouse, like Falcons. No, I, I don't
Yeah.
see them getting 3 wins in that kind of bracket.
And also, by the way, they've got Blast, Rivals, and Chengdu. So they're going to China first, then Hong Kong. So they're still grinding out events.
Yeah,
So we'll get to learn more and see what they can do. Because if you hit 5th to 8th at PGL Bucharest Masters, well, you're going to much tougher events after that. So that's
yeah.
when we can have some real eyes on them. We'll have to have a look at it afterwards. All right, from Pain, we can go over to GamerLegion. So GamerLegion end up in 4th place. I'll say
Mhm.
this is okay for them, considering like EPL, they made it through stage 1, then they go out in last place. But I'm not going to be horrible about EPL. You played Mao's Vitality Mongols. But then CAC comes along. You lose to Liquid and Lin Vision. You lost to Lin Vision as well. So you're 13th to 16th place. Bucharest wasn't pretty. They beat FlyQuest, lost to Pain, lost to Saw, beat Fnatic, beat Gentlemates, beat Heroic, lost to Aurora. Bro, that Aurora game, 13-1, 13-1.
Yeah,
I I I have no words for that. That is, and Ash will probably say it himself. He's a straight up guy. It's embarrassing.
it is. I mean, when I was looking through these games, this was before I actually knew FlyQuest actually had a great tournament. But I looked at the
Yeah.
early results, like they won against FlyQuest barely, like really narrowly. It was 19-15 overtime on Dust 2 and a
Yep.
13-11. But obviously they lost against a rocky Pain. They lost to Saw and then went to win against definitely not a great Fnatic. And then the most impressive win is against Gentlemates, if I'm honest.
uh-huh.
With a 13-5 and 13-9. But I was actually on the verge of like looking at this tournament and in the middle of that group stage thinking like, oh my god, what are GamerLegion doing? Why are they looking so bad? And then they just came alive a little bit at the end and started to play much better. And one could argue that mid tournament, these kind of rumors of 100 Thieves coming in could have been a
Yeah.
little bit disruptive for them. Like, the news was
Just to stop you
obviously
there,
like,
guess what?
yeah.
PR, Towson, and Res all performed pretty good across the whole tournament.
Yeah,
It's
but
only the other two.
imagine you're the guy not on the list.
Yeah, yeah, the two.
Yeah. So that's not ideal for them, but they obviously dealt with it, finished 4th. That's
Yep.
a really good result considering all the circumstances.
Is this though a thing, right? Is there something between the way ZTR calls and how Ash wants to play CS that their AWPers, no matter who they seem to get, can't shine? Couldn't that be a fundamental problem, the way you play CS?
I mean,
Because we were
100%.
harsh on we were harsh on Kersey, right? And Hypex is very new to this still, so I'm not throwing him under the bus like he should be replaced, but he's not he's not finding the success they want him to find just yet, and it just seems to be a constant problem with them for as long as
Well,
we talked about it.
without knowing how they actually do things, it's hard to make my judgment on it. But if you put Opers in a very like stale set role, like we'll take Nuke for example, like you're always under heaven, you're always flashing for the yard player, you're always like kind of just spamming through smokes, and you're not pushing yourself towards that yard side to get entries, or you're not
Yeah,
rotating around and changing positions, and then it can be really hard to get impact. But I actually make a reference. I still think Hypex has a easier job as an AWPer compared to Sadsin on Legacy, where you have, 4 very aggressive riflers. I mean,
yeah,
Nissim is maybe the more passive one, but he still can find some aggression. And Sadsin has to keep up with all that pace. It's almost like you're never going to get a
running
chance
behind
to
him.
just sit still and kind of slowly work your way towards a pick.
Yeah.
So in that sense, I think they probably have an easier job when I just look at it from the eye test, comparably to Legacy. So I'm not convinced that's the case.
And do you know what? It's starting to feel like the only thing Game Legion has is this overpass. Other than that, they've not like overpass. They get some good wins against, but if they come up against a decent team like Aurora on overpass, they can't win it. I'm not just talking about the 13-1, but it's like Game Legion seems like they have this pocket overpass. If that doesn't work out for them, everything else is going to be a bit of a struggle, you know?
Yeah.
And like
Well,
they lost to Saw in the third place decider, yeah. And we can again argue the fact that Saw might want it a little bit more, but points are very valuable for Game Legion right now. But you would still put Game Legion beating Saw right on paper before looking at that game.
before this tournament, I would, yes.
Yeah, you see, and that's how far Game Legion can seem to fall down. Um, I guess I wouldn't say I'm worried for Game Legion. They'll be in stage one of the major. They can try and ramp up there, but like they need to start showing something a bit more than what we're already seeing from them.
Well, I
And I know
guess
it's only been
the
EPL, CAC, and PGL now for where they've had Hypex, but
yeah,
I'm guessing it's boot camp time after that because they do love a boot camp. We even filmed the episode with Ash and he was on boot camp.
yeah. I think the disappointment for me just comes from like they look to be a team that could take down like the Giants every once in a while or play close, and they were this close to continuously being that pool of top 10.
Yep.
And now it feels like they're slowly going down or kind of
Yeah. Just hanging
stagnating.
in there.
Just yeah, that's probably why you're, because I mean before they'd probably be up there with Aurora and Legacy up in a final spot for me. Um, and they just had this opening problem and never really found their fifth to
Yeah.
gel. But yeah, I mean, it's also because I mean PR is probably one of the biggest talents in the scene right now, and feels like they should get a
People
little
gonna
bit
want
more
him.
out of it. Yeah,
People gonna want him. The story of Gamer Legion losing the either good players or a couple of good players and trying to rebuild from there. That is
yeah.
Ash's life. That is what he's condemned to here. So to third place, the team that beat Gamer Legion for it was Saw. And I'm just so impressed because I didn't expect much. Now they start off losing to 3D Max, who didn't even make playoffs, right? 13-5, 13-8. But then they go on this tear. They beat NIP, they beat Gamer Legion, they beat Aurora, they beat Liquid, then they lose to Legacy in a very close game. Up until the Ancient, because they can't play Ancient, but they could have won 2-0 and been in the grand final. That nuke
Yeah.
was in their hands. They were up. That was it. They were up 12-10 and they lost the last two rounds on their CT side. I feel like Legacy, obviously, they're used to going to overtime. They're used to playing out these drawn out games. They keep these things running. But this is huge for Saw. Huge for VRS. They're currently ranked 15th now. Huge for their mentality. Mutiris, by the way, has had to rebuild without Roman there. Aragorn's come in, crazy, agile, and these players didn't have the same experience of the Saw we saw that was making Cologne playoffs, right? And pulling off upsets. This could actually end up being the best Saw we've seen ever. And that might sound crazy to say, but I'll just throw that out there as a possibility.
I'm just gonna check what the ranking was at the very very best. So around 14, 15.
Okay. That's after their Cologne playoffs, I'm guessing. But then hear this. They're not at the major, but what they've definitely done is secure themselves invites for early 2026 events. And if they can keep this up, if they can stay grinding, because do you know what they're going to be perfect for? Any team that's practicing for the major, they want to practice against Saw.
Yeah.
I'm hitting up Saw and I'm saying game, game, game. Yeah. And as long as they're playing well in practice against teams, they'll get some good practice themselves and be really ready for next year. They can sit back and watch the major and think, next year's Cologne, we will be there. And I guarantee they must be so motivated right now.
Yeah, and I mean it's impressive because they've really planned their year out in a good way. They found, the talents. Mutter is
Yep.
taking on that in-game leader burden. I'm not sure he was an in-game leader ever in the past, but
Was it Roman before? I always forget.
well, I'm not actually sure. I might be lying
No,
about
it
that,
might it
but
might
I
have been it
also
might have been him
lied.
always. It might have been him always.
I also lied about 14th. They were ninth at one point with the it was you jerks and Arasdosa, um,
Hmm.
at least on HLTV. But
Okay.
yeah, I think there's a reasonable shot they could actually make it to be the best saw we've seen. I think they've got a lot of young talents, a lot of They seem to enjoy Counter Strike together and seem to trust each other in a way that's
Yep.
just refreshing to see, I guess. And they've been through some ups and downs with this Saw team, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. This is a meteoric rise for a team of their level.
Yeah,
And this is where if you get a little bit more um, practice under your belt, a bit more confidence now from this event, I can see them doing not like super well, making playoffs of some big events, but I can just see them steadily being a team that can be competitive. Like this is now a team you can watch out for a little bit, you know?
yeah,
I truly believe that. But yeah, I've just got praise for Saw. I'm in on what I saw. This was really great. This was a run that they were probably more motivated than some other teams there, and rightly so. But they used that to their advantage, and they even took down a Liquid. They even took down an Aurora, right? And they were
yeah.
going all the maps against everyone. Three maps, three maps, three maps. They can't play Ancient. This is true. Ancient is like a no go for this team, but that's not terrible. That's not terrible at all.
It's a great result. They played all the best teams in this tournament,
Yeah, they had
and
the
they
hard run.
played. Yeah, they had a really tough run, and they made it third. That's
Look,
you
look,
know,
look at their end run, right? So they started with 3D Max and lost to him, but then they bounced back and beat Aurora, Liquid, GamerLegion twice. You know, like
yeah,
that on its own is just impressive. Okay, so from Saw, enough praise on Saw. Legacy, second place, dude. Like even though they came second, these guys are fucking winners in my eyes. And I'm sorry for swearing, but I am so hyped about this. Richard Lewis said this so well on the desk. He said that it reminds him of the luminosity of old, when they were coming
yeah,
up and they were never out of a game. This is it. We spoke about this on the podcast. The fact that they can go every map right to the wire, go to distance, and they still have energy. And do you know what's selling it for me? I know Lux really well. I was literally DMing Lux, talking to him, going through. He was sad at first when he got removed from pain. Yeah, willing to take over this new IGL challenge and willing to work with a bunch of new players. And he's got them not only believing in him. When I spoke to Demal at the Austin Major, Demal was like, "Oh, I just listen to Lux. Lux tells me to do this, I do this. Sometimes I make a play, I just do something. But me and Lux figure these rounds out. We work on the mid rounds, how we want to approach the situation together. Like these guys believe in him as a leader and as a captain, and that shows because your captain is clutching crazy rounds. He's pulling up big numbers to save your ass in matches. He is a frag in IGL. And we can talk about Lato, we can talk about Demal, we can talk about Sadsin, but Lux comes away as the MVP because they were down and out, right? They lost the first two maps, 13-11, Dust 2, which has always been good for Legacy as well. Then they lose Mirage 13-8, and you think, okay, that's it. Train goes to overtime and they still pull it out. And once they hit that overtime switch, I was like, that energy is going to be there. That momentum's going to be there. Like, this is a team that enjoy playing Counter Strike together.
yeah. I also have to kind of step into this Lux hype because when I see him play, like especially Dust 2, like he is incredible at taking map control. He swings out short on random timings when he gets the information that he wants. Like he reads the game so well, but he's constantly getting entries. Like he's constantly, what your star player is supposed to do. He is just putting himself into that role and doing it so well on the T side. Um, and it's I think he also kind of settled them a little bit because I think Legacy was a bit more crazy before, but now they have a little bit more of a balance where sometimes they'll slow things down and do things like, I guess, properly. But
Hmm.
I like what they're doing. I think they have a better balance. I think, um, but it's not only Lux. I mean, all of these players, they clutch like all the time. Like, doesn't matter who you put in a clutch situation. I almost like 1v3. I'm almost betting Legacy.
Yeah, yeah. Dude, the clutch is they had the most clutches of any team. I think that was already spoke
Yeah,
about in plenty of places. I saw tweets about it as well. He's not always putting up numbers, but he's having impact.
yeah.
Like some of the games, I think I need to just go back through the board for it. But like it was Inferno, was it? He came up just like incredible. Yeah, 2.17 rating on Inferno. You know? Literally
Plus
saving
10.
time throughout that game for his other players to come online. Like Nissim was having a stinker. Nissim ended that series. So Inferno was 13-8 to Legacy. Nissim was 4-16. But guess what? They were still hyped. They never looked down. They never looked out of it. Legacy is a team that if like remember after Austin Major, they did slow down. They dropped off. That CAC win kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But now, doing this, pushing Aurora like they did, coming back from a 0-2 deficit with some very young players, like the average age of this team is 22 and 23. Let's just say 23. Um, they're not used to all this. They're not used to this. Like Lux is probably the only one that's used to a bit of it from the pain days. And yet they're still holding their own and they're still looking strong. And I feel like this is a team now where if they just get a few more big events with them, keep going, they can be a title. I'm not going to say title contender straight away when there's still Fury and stuff, but like a dark horse at tournaments that could come through and have a deep run because they never give up. They're so resilient. I never
I
see them tilted.
No, they're just enjoying playing Counter Strike together. But I think for me, it's almost like going into the major. Imagine you're like a stage 3 team. You're a G2 or whatever, and you get drawn Legacy. I'd be scared,
In a best
like,
of one. Yeah.
because it's so relentless that we even saw them against Vitality, where they just destroyed them on an Inferno. It was like 13-1, 13-2, or something like that.
Yep. Yep.
And so they have the capability to do it, and it's really hard to stop. It's almost like a little bit like a B&E to some degree, that they're so aggressive. They are relentless in what they want to do, and now I think they're playing a little bit smarter, a little bit more organized, and they could definitely be a scary one to face. I think honestly, it's probably, I'd rather play an established top team than just get a
Yep.
Legacy where I'm almost expected to win against them, uh,
Yeah.
because they're gonna come out swinging, and like you say, they never give up.
And when I say they never give up, right? To go through this on their matches, they lost the Liquid to start off with. Obviously, they lost the Liquid back in CAC as well. Beat Gentlemates, beat Astralis, lost to Bait. That puts them in 2-2. Then they beat
Yeah,
FlyQuest, dealing with the pressure. They beat Pain in the derby. Lux's old team is Pain. There's going to be some moments there, right? Then they beat Saw across 3 maps. And then they go all the maps against Aurora as well. Now,
but it's
they,
even
like I
even
said,
this thing, right? They keep losing maps against a lot of different opponents, but they always kind of finds a way to win, and I think
yep,
that just speaks so much volume about these guys. Like, I mean, it's almost a role reverse if you look at Aurora, where
yeah,
sometimes you look at them and they're just like, how the fuck did we lose that? And
yeah,
you know you look at Legacy, they're smiling. Dumao, he was losing a clutch that was super important for the game. He was still smiling after he lost a clutch.
yeah.
So I think it's just a complete, yeah, they're an exciting team to watch, I think.
And look at this from the Aurora perspective. They don't have someone within the top 10 of the highest rated players of the tournament, but they have
Mhm.
Lato and Sadzin, 1.11, 1.10. Yeah. Then they have Demau and Lux, 1.07 each. Like, this is a close team. Anyone can pop off in any game. It's not one player taking over. It's the teamwork. It's the support. It's the belief, it's playing off each other. And that's what some beautiful Counter Strike can look like, even if it gets sloppy at times. And I think if you just refine some of that calling some more, yeah, if you can dig yourself out of a bad position a bit earlier, sometimes they then could start walking some teams. But I still want to see them against the very elite. You know,
Yeah.
like that's the next thing now. Is like let me see a Legacy versus a Spirit or a G2 or a Falcons, a Navi. Like that's the next step for these guys.
Yeah. No, 100% agree. I think they great tournament. Yeah, it's just fun to see them.
Now, do you know what's crazy? Because I will hype up Aurora. I am an Aurora enjoyer in some sense. But we were so down on Aurora because of recent results, yeah? Because we expect more from them. We expect better from this set of players. This is Maja, Zantares, Woxic, Wicadia, Jota. I
Yeah.
expect more than what we've been seeing. And I'll say this: they won the tournament. They deserve to win that tournament. It's amazing. But I think like I'll bring up Moses' tweet because he summed up what I want to say almost perfectly. Moses said, if Aurora go on to lose this grand final, I think it might just kill the team. I would agree. I was thinking after being 2-0 up, losing in overtime on train, if you lost it, the team would just because everyone except for Maja and Woxic towards the end had lost belief in being able to win. And this is it. Aurora won the tournament, but in some ways, it was just about by the skin of their teeth. A win is a win. Give them the trophy. But my God, when they came back from that train, yeah, I
Yeah.
still think because we know they got their performance coach in ESWC, yeah, so in Esports World Cup. Before then, they didn't have an analyst, they didn't have a performance coach. We spoke about it on this podcast. They've still got a way to grow because, bro, there was 4 players on Aurora trying to bring life back into Zantares to like, bro, you are the Turkish Terminator. You can kill these guys. You can end them now. Because he looked like we're winning rounds, but I'm just playing, just going, click, click, headshot,
To be
maybe
fair, he kind
kill.
of always looks like that.
But bro, they at one point the mood looked so bad that I thought they'd lost it purely because of that. The
Yeah.
mental looked gone. And I stupidly tweeted out Zontaris starting off the series really well. What was the first map? Dust 2, right? So let's have a look at Zontaris. Zontaris 1.95 rating. Then goes on to Mirage 1.60 rating. And like even on train, he was topping the scoreboards. He was on the mega carry. But Inferno, he slowed down a bit. And on Nuke, he just took a while to get going. And it's just like, if their mental was that little bit stronger, if they could stay fired up and focused, I don't think this series would have been that close.
Well, I think there's, I mean, the thing with Aurora, when I look at them, first of all, we've
Mhm.
talked about the map pool. I don't think there's like a
Yep.
map I necessarily pick and like, okay, they're gonna automatically win that map against this opponent. I don't really feel
Yep.
like that. They're gonna pick different maps against different opponents, and it's just a little bit of a scary moment when they do. The other thing is, I think they're way too over reliant on Santaris having a great game. If he
Yeah.
doesn't, they're almost certainly losing a map or two, even a best of three, and
Mhm.
they probably don't even make a grand final at that point. So
Yeah,
that's
the good
one
they're
thing.
looking for is like huge as well. It's not just like a normal 1.20, 1 point, like they want him to
No,
skyrocket in
he
order.
needs to be like a top 5 player in the world for them to like do well.
Exactly. Exactly.
And it's a little bit too much for me to have faith in them doing that consistently. I think the third point is I feel like Voxic is slow starting in a lot of series. I'm not saying that he is needs to be replaced or anything, but needs to
Mhm.
figure out a way to start, a map good. You can look at Train, first half, 4 frags,
Oh, he
9
was
deaths,
non-existent. Yeah.
didn't exist on the server, ends up being like one of the best players on the server after switching to CT and playing some of he kind of carried them through to that overtime. But I don't like, obviously it's going to be a scary situation when
But
you're getting 4 frags and a half and you're the opper on Train. I feel like he needs to be able to get more he needs to start faster. I don't know what it is, but it feels like he always has kind of a
Oh,
slow start to games, and I want to him to for Aurora to be a competitive team. He needs to be on
mhm,
point from the very start. It can't just be relying on some Taurus to drop 20 frags the first half, like that's not
yeah.
reasonable.
But also this, Woxic ended up being a lower rated player across the whole series than Madger. Now, look at the first three maps for the series. Dust 2, Mirage, Train,
Yeah.
all maps where I'm looking for Woxic, especially Train. I remember some masterclasses that he put on Train at the beginning, and he loves this map, by the way. I thought that this is a god tier first three maps for him to shine. And the one reason I'm not as harsh on him, and this is just reading body language, I'm not reading the game, I'm not looking at the numbers. I was harsh on Zontares. Woxic, though, no matter how shit he was doing, he was still heading the game. But I agree with you, just the output wasn't there. He was still trying to hype up his teammates. He was still roaring. He was still going for it. Great. But it's like, Woxic, you are better than this. You are. And obviously, they had like a mouse issue at one point. He had to change mouse mid tournament. By the way, him and Zontares, Zontares, by the way, still use a wired mouse. He's not changing. He just believes. I spoke to him when we did the Astana 1v1 between him and Dong, and he just
Yeah.
uses the same mouse pad, the same mouse, and hasn't changed in like 10 years. 10 years of the same stuff. I told him, bro, I can give you that exact mouse from Zowie in wireless and it'll be better. I promise you. He's like, nope, I tried it. I won't use it. Because for him, everything has to be exactly the same. Everything picture perfect. But that just goes to another point about their mental. And I'm not going to say Woxie had a mental block in this game. But I will say that, like, where did he end for like the whole tournament? Let's have a look at this. Because obviously Zontaros ends up being MVP anyway. But
I
like
don't think Toxic
Woxic's
was that
Woxic's whole
bad.
tournament wasn't bad.
No.
1.05. It's just we know, and especially the opportunities he had, he should have been doing better than that.
Yeah, I will give him a little bit of a pass because of just how, Aurora kind of played their T sides. It will be a little bit hard to be an AWPer when you're constantly playing 5v5 CS, executing into sites. It's going to be a lot of chaos, a lot of flashes. It's not going to be like getting as clean kills as if they would be a little bit more defaulty, trying to move people around. It's not really set for him on the T side, but there is still rounds where I see him. Okay, now you have an opportunity, and he's not really getting the success that he needs.
Yeah.
Especially like you look at train like Ivy pokes and stuff like that. I just feel like, yeah. I mean, Aurora is the better team than Legacy. To be
Yep.
fair, they have the better individuals. They're all like theoretically on paper, they're a much stronger team. I
Yeah.
think sometimes they just make it hard for themselves because if you look in this series, Legacy was constantly three or four guys defending whatever execute they were throwing. Didn't matter
Hmm.
if it was, a Mirage, a Train, an Inferno, or a Nuke. It felt like no matter where Aurora was going, Legacy had a read, especially on Train and Inferno, the maps that Legacy won.
Hmm.
Um, you can look back at this demo, and I swear there's probably one execute on B that Aurora did where there was two players defending. The rest of them was three, and even Train, the inner bomb site executes, constantly three people defending against them,
Yep.
constantly being in the right positions, and they just shot harder, and that's why they eventually, were competitive. But against an even skilled team, that would have lost.
Yeah. Against the elite team, they definitely would have lost as well.
Yeah,
This is it, right? Um, This goes on to another point. This is the third final they've had this year. This is the weakest set of teams they've had to face. Yeah. So I feel like there's definitely was them believing that there is a curse. Maybe some Turkish people can tell me, is it not, do a lot of Turkish people believe in like curses and superstitions and stuff? Someone tell me in the comments because
I would assume so.
well, like, look at this. Blast Bounty Season 1 finals. As Eternal Fire, they go up into the finals against Spirit, they lose. Esports World Cup again. It's like the next side of the season. They go up against Mongols. That's a good opponent for them to face against. They lose. Yeah. Now they win at Bucharest, only just, which is great. But like, do you know what the beautiful thing for Aurora is here? They've got no more events until the major. So You now know you can win a tournament. Yes, it was against Legacy. Yes, it wasn't against the most elite players and teams in the world. But you are capable now. This
Yeah.
curse has been lifted. You now know you have what it takes. Now, you're still not where you need to be, but this should give you everything in terms of looking at games, in terms of looking at mentality, of talking to each other as a team, because winning this is the thing that can save them to go back to being a playoff team at a major, say, for example, we saw what Copenhagen, because they didn't make playoffs with Shanghai or Austin. So, yeah, this could give them a chance for that. But what I need to see now is major, not the player, but major is going to the major and going in 2026. They need to go back to being a playoff team or a change needs to happen because this is still a win. I'm hugely positive about what I saw, but this was not against a strong set of teams.
Well, I think the blessing in disguise, they have a couple of weeks time before the major where they can kind of look at these demos, look at themselves, not their opponent, but it's obvious that teams are reading them and putting them into difficult situations in terms of the calling. Even though they're winning some of these
Yep.
rounds, I mean, that's great, but they need to more often put themselves in an advantage situation instead of constantly executing into a heavy defense. So I think that's what I would be looking for. And maybe they could come in and surprise a couple of teams where, they've changed up some of their patterns and kind of, tricked people into prepping against them. And yeah, I just think that some of their tells needs to be worked out a little bit more and changed so they're a bit unreadable to some degree.
Yeah. Yeah. The last thing to touch on for this event, Zontaras MVP, 30 years old.
Yep.
Yeah. Been a top 15 player back in 2024. Other than that, has never made the top 20 players of a year despite great performances because they were never getting trophies. He was on pretty rough teams, right? If you think that he went from obviously the Space Soldiers into Big, into now Eternal Fire Aurora. Second ever MVP, but his first one was an online one when it was like the COVID era and he was with Big at that point. So Big or great online, fair enough to him. But this is the one that matters. Getting an MVP here was almost a must for a player of his caliber. Huge congratulations to him to finally being able to do that. Um,
Yep.
but it's still, I guess, in his like if he's super competitive, which I'm sure he is, he's now looking at this and thinking, okay, I've done this. But boy, I want to do it against like beating a Vitality or a Spirit or a Falcons in a final. That's the next thing now. This is for me. This is a great result, but it's a stepping stone for all of them. And by the way, Zontares was a clear MVP. There was no one else even close because you want to look at the stats. You want to look at how that all went down. Yeah, Blame F 1.42 rating across 8 maps, but Zontares, third overall, 1.27 across 23 maps. He is the reason it was even possible for Aurora to be there.
Yeah. I mean, without him, they would not. I don't think they would make playoff without him. If I'm honest, like they are so reliant on him, and it
Yeah.
shows. And he stepped up, and they got the win. So easy MVP.
And you know what? I saw so many people as like a final thoughts on the PGR Masters Bucharest. So many people said this is one of the most enjoyable
Mhm.
tournaments to watch because it was wild, it was exciting, it wasn't just the same old teams we see. This is the beauty of what we have. And guess what? PGL have announced 8 more events or six, was it 16 events? I think it is. Let me just make sure I get the numbers correct. In 2017 and 2018. So let's have a look. Um, you saw this, right?
Well, it was yeah, I did see it, but I did not count the actual
Oh,
amounts of events. I just
15 tier one events planned for 2027 and 2028. That's huge. All tier one
yeah,
events. Like that, dude, in the beginning, PGR 1, 2, 3, 4, January, February, March, April in 2027. And the same for
damn,
2028. They're cooking. But there will be some overlaps, by the way. There will be some overlaps. And they're also doing August, September, October, November. One of them obviously is going to be CAC each time, so that's a perfect world in China. But they work together on all this stuff. But
yeah,
yeah, like they're cooking. It's exciting times. PGL, even if maybe the viewership was not the best, even if it was not within an arena, this was a good event for people to enjoy. This was a great event for the Turkish community. Um, I actually I enjoyed it a lot, even though I didn't get to work it in the end. I just had to sit here, be in
Yeah.
recovery mode.
By the way, I just checked HLTV. Big is actually in a grand final for an ESL Pro League spot against
Yes,
M80.
against M80. I'm surely M80 win that. Surely.
Wow, Big is in the lead. So we'll see after when this gets released who actually won.
Yeah, let's wait and see. If you want to talk about another event that was going on, right, I'm going to give a little shout out to. I'm going to bring up the result. I was actually watching this while I was in the barber today. Um,
Oh,
Epic 46 VRS event, by the way. Yeah, UK land in Kettering. The playoffs had a $5,000, oh sorry, a $5,855 prize pool. Nemesis ended up winning. That has Thomas and Crucial on alongside Nexius, the old OG player, Noti, and Tien from Poland.
cool.
They won 2-0. And I'll just say this. I don't know how do we see past VRS points?
This is so crazy. I just found out that Crystal was helping coaching this Amanek lineup min late.
Oh, okay. Well, look what
It's
they
just
did.
like
From
a
they have jumped up. Oh no, we don't see their points. They're 106 right now in the VRS rankings. I don't know that it probably isn't updated yet, right? But they will
says
get a
they
boost for that.
say they will become 97th.
Okay, they'll become like so. That's a good jump up for them, you know. Little
Yeah,
events like this is what we obviously the level of teams here was not the same. They beat Amanek's team in the final, which was Amanek, SBT, and three Polish guys: Polo, Skit, and Exist. Um, but these are the things we need to also look at just for where you can get some extra points, what teams are attending. So shout out to Epic Land, continuing to bring some European players and teams over to have a look at that. It's where I actually started my CS:GO career, at least in some sense. Um,
not bad.
Let's look at some of the news then. We've only got two topics on this. First one, I'm going to take this with a pinch of salt, right? I'm going to read Nicholas. He is the CEO of GamerLegion. His name is Leggy, L3GI. Guess it's worth to share. We had a chat with 100 Thieves a few weeks ago about their intentions to come back to CS, but there is no active discussion about selling any players or cores. We focus on the team we have right now. Let's get that third place at PGL. Obviously, they didn't get third place, but you had a chat still. He admitted to having a chat. So even if he wants to shut the rumors down, yeah, I don't take this as he's not going to sell the core. Because I'll say one thing this guy has done is he's made a lot of money selling teams and players. Yeah.
Well, it also
So
means that there's no active, like he could have just said to 100 Thieves, like, okay, let's talk after the major. So there's technically no active
yeah,
discussions. So it's
he's
like,
got good wording, but I'm just going to say rumors can still be very true. I'm not. By the way, I don't like it for Ash, and I don't like it for GamerLegion as an organization, but I love it for 100 Thieves coming back with Rain as potentially the IGL. You know,
yeah,
like
I think that's, it's a great one. I think it's the right step for Rain, and it's going to be exciting to see what he can kind of bring in that role.
you know, one other bit of news we'll touch on DevWalk.
Hmm?
Valve seem to be rejecting a lot more stickers designs this year. So I'm going to link to the post
Yes.
I'm reading as well. So we'll go through it, right? There you go.
All right.
We'll get our
1
editors to put
second.
these pictures up as well so you can go through it. So I'll just go through the list of names. Rez, so many stickers getting rejected this major, mine included. Fully hand-drawn sticker as well. Very odd. What's going on in Counter-Strike? I don't know if they try to DM Counter-Strike, but they should also try that rather than just tweeting. Please, because by the way, if you try to go through the Counter-Strike notifications, good luck. You're not even these guys are being seen. You know, it's never happening. Case says, please accept my new sticker. It's not AI. I used to be an artist. That's pretty cool. Sonic, his one. He actually put a picture up of it. Oh man, Counter-Strike designed my new signature once again. I'll just tell him this: remove the thing that looks like a hedgehog for Sonic the Hedgehog, and they will accept it. I know what you're trying to do because people who might like Sonic would then buy a sticker and put it on, but they're not going to go for anything that's close to copyright. So if he just wrote his name Sonic in the cool way he did and
Yeah.
removed the hedgehog looking thing, I'm pretty sure that gets accepted.
True.
So I
But they
think
are
he
they
messed
are
up.
very harsh on this stuff because they have these guidelines like you should be able to write it all in like less than 5 seconds or something like that. And
Also, the 5 second thing is I can't even write my own name in less than 5 seconds.
no,
If you want it to look if
there's
you want it to look readable, I'm not tying myself for this, but that seems a bit crazy. Because by the way, when I was in Shanghai Major, I was there when the players were having to hand draw it, and the Perfect World staff were watching them do it. And like Flames, he had about 5 or 6 different attempts at whatever he was doing. You know, like It is pretty rough. Shuei shared last two majors, both these stickers got rejected. The first one, I don't understand why it got rejected. The second one, I don't want it to be rejected. It is a chicken, but like he can draw that pretty quickly.
Yeah, but I think for the first one, it's really wide, right, in terms of like the letters and stuff like that. Because I
Yeah.
think that people, what I mean is essentially, I think they probably looked at that and said like, oh, is he gonna have this like, I don't know, I call it a bingo pen or something, like this wide ass markers that you use. No one's
Sometimes you
gonna
get given
have
them by
that for
fans.
autograph. Yeah, but true.
Some of them you get them by fans. You have some massive ones given to you.
But I don't think the bingo marker sticker is gonna fly. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Okay. Then Snow from Pain. Sticker rejected again. LOL. I tried to make a tribute to my grandpa and my dad, but they didn't accept it. The thing is, it's not just a tribute to his granddad and his dad. That name he's put there, Zhao, yeah, is also his first name. So I don't know why they didn't accept that. Snowy Zhao is like, dude, what the hell? So Sonic's one, I can understand, but it is getting like we need some creative stickers. We've been seeing players so many times. I don't want them all to be like cancelled out in this. Come on,
But
man.
I don't even mind that they are rejecting like some stickers. But what is crazy is like they're not even telling you what you did wrong.
Yeah. Give them
They're
a reason
just
or explain so they can
they're
learn.
just stamping it like reject
Rejected.
it
Rejected.
and then move on.
Yeah, that's tough. That's actually tough. And I feel bad for him, man, because the stickers mean so much to these players. Like by the way, if a player has a good sticker, I'm like, if that Shuei one came out, I'm all in it. I would love it. I'm so down. I'd give me the chicken one, that's fun. Just the guidelines are the guidelines, but give them the feedback. I agree. And another thing to feedback on, did you see I tweeted like after that final that happened for the Aurora final? I said, hey, Counter Strike, this final is the reason we need a best of five major final, please.
Ah, yes.
3,200 likes on that bad boy. People are agreeing. I don't know if Valve's going to pay attention, but one day we will remove best of ones, all best of threes. I don't care if it adds extra broadcast days. It's not about me getting paid more. Add a C stream, whatever. Like this can work. And then also just we've had Thunder pick now and this where they were epic finals. One was a reverse sweep, one wasn't. And people were then telling me, but Navi don't have a good map pool. This is bad for your Navi. I'm like, you know what? I want the best Counter Strike. I just want the best Counter Strike. That's what would make me happy.
I mean, you shouldn't really either like if a team is good on two maps, they shouldn't be winning events either. So
Yeah.
it's kind of fair.
Do you know what? This major dev walk, I'm going to take you with me because you're much smarter than me. And I'm going to drag you in front of Valve and put you in their room and just lock you in there for a while. So you best prepare your analyst brain and talk to them in a very smart way, like I know you can, because they would, I'm sure, listen to you.
Bring back MR15.
Major champion, coach, and player, analyst of the major now. Leave dev walk with the devs for like a couple of hours. Let's see if they can pay attention. Because I'm going to keep saying this: players need to go and talk to them more as well. Like I feel like Sponge is always talking to him, so he's always in there. But I think Sponge would even agree. Players are the most valuable to go talk to them.
Yeah.
People like you are more valuable to go talk to them, right? It's like these are the kind of people we need to have in conversations for the benefit of our game, the growth of our game, and what we can see going forward. So, public service announcement: players go and talk to the Valve devs. They're there at every major.
I'm pessimistic about these talks, but sure.
I'm just gonna say, as your loyal friend and podcast host, you ain't got a choice. You're going. I need you. I'm sending you. I will even push you in the room, wave, and then lock the door behind you.
It's gonna be awkward, man. It's like,
No,
hi.
you'll be fine. Everything will be fine. It'll all make sense, I'm sure. But that's it. We're at the end.
Yeah.
We
Let's
did
hope
it.
that this recording actually stays on and we don't have to talk for
Oh, yeah,
another hour.
otherwise we need to get another editor. So yeah, that's it. It's gonna be game over. Someone's getting fired. Send in your applications to my email or my Twitter bio. No, I'm joking. We can't get rid of our boy Noel.
No.
But as always, thank you very much for watching. A couple of shorter episodes. The next one will be out at the end of Chengdu before Hong Kong starts. Be ready for it. Make sure you're liking, subscribing, commenting. We always reply to your comments. Submit your questions on the Discord. We appreciate all of it. Devilwalk, over to you. I always do all of this and just take it from you and then leave you with nothing to say.
Yeah, follow us, subscribe.
Oh,
That's all he leaves me.
oh yeah. Wait.
No, but
Look,
thank you for watching.
we can leak. We can leak. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming.
It's a
Goodbye.
bear.